Okay, today I'm going to be upgrading the fuel pump in my 1992 Nissan Skyline GTS25. I'm going to be upgrading it because I'm going to be turbocharging the car, so the first thing I'm going to do is upgrade the pump. And the pump that I'm going with is a Walbro 255. Also, part number GSS341G3. And I got it off of eBay, and I got a S13 fuel pump install kit too. Should be the same. And for this, we're going to be doing the job in the trunk. That's where the fuel pump access panel is, right here, right there under that. So I'm going to go ahead and start with is take off those 10mm slash big Phillips screws slash bolts out, and then I'll show you the processes from there. We have our fuel sending unit, so those two hoses there I'm going to have to take off, as well as all the little, looks like 8mm bolts around it. Alright, I put some penetrating oil on all those bolts there, as long as also right by the hoses. Probably not going to penetrate into that, but did it anyways, so then just let it sit for a few minutes. Then I'm going to go ahead and start taking those hoses off, and then I'm going to move from there to the 8mm going around the sending unit. Alright, so there's probably a better way I could have done that, because now I am working on the other hose right here, this one. Just kind of putting the pliers right here and pushing. That one had some come out too, but not a whole lot. The other one's kind of dripping a little. Yours may be rustier than mine. This is actually really not that bad, but I'm going to push down and, oh yeah, that comes right out. Alright, I got all the bolts out, so now I'm going to go ahead and snake that thing out of there. Alright, there's the assembly, so I'll show you how we go ahead and swap that out here in just a sec. So looking at this, it looks like this is going to actually plug right into it. It almost looks like it's already a aftermarket, because I don't think Nissan uses these kind of clamps from the factory, which makes sense, the car's older. This is my install kit and looks suspiciously like that, so I'm going to pop it out there real quick and see what kind of fuel pump we have in here. Okay, so I'm looking at it. There's no markings on this at all, so it must just be like a OEM style replacement that they did sometime in Japan. Okay, so I'm just kind of piecing this together right now. Put the little rubber thing on there. I'm going to put my hose up top here, and this does plug right into it, and polarity should be the same, so we are good there. So yeah, came with a couple of new clamps here. So I'm going to go ahead and just pop this on here. Basically gonna just set it up just like the old one was. Okay, so oddly enough, the hardest part about this thing so far has been getting the little piece right here on, which don't know if you can even see it right now with, there we go, getting that little ring on. It kept bending on me, so eventually I was able to get it. I just needed some needle noses pushing it on there, and that's what holds on the fuel pump sock. So yeah. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put it on. Put the clamps on here. They're just loose, they're not tightened yet or anything like that. And I'm going to go ahead and just slide it into place and then tighten these up. So I'll show you what we do. It's pretty simple, but alright, and then I got those tightened up. Didn't go too crazy on the bottom one because obviously it's into plastic here on the Walbro. But just going a little bit past snug on these. And then this is just going to plug right in. Yep, so that's great. So our assembly here is good to go. Okay, so that's all back together. Really easy. If you were doing this and let's say that plug was different, because I think that was a non-OEM fuel pump, I think it was the aftermarket one, so I think that's why I have that plug there. But really the only difference would be is you'd splice two wires, and they're red and black. Same thing on the other one. My S13 was the same way. The fuel pump also will often say positive or negative on it. The Walbro does not, but this one does. It has a plus, I can't see it, but a plus over here, minus over here. Okay, another thing that you might want to do is replace that tank seal O-ring. On my S13, that was all flattened out, and I had to actually cut it and then put it back together because it got stretched out when I removed it. Like, part of it stuck to the sending unit, and when I pulled it, it got stretched out. I couldn't find it locally, so I clipped it, got it in the groove, and then I also used some fuel resistant RTV all around the mating surface there. And I haven't had leaks. That was like 8 years ago. But if you can, find that and replace it. This pump looks like it was replaced semi-recently. That seal looks perfectly fine. It's still thick and pliable and everything, so I'm just going to reuse it. Your mileage may vary on that, but that's what I'm going with here. Okay, so we're good there, so I'm going to go ahead and put the lines on. This is going to be the difficult part, mainly because I keep putting off buying hose pliers, which will make this very easy. So we'll see how much I struggle with this. I'm going to put a little bit of penetrating oil on the metal there, so hopefully they slide right in. Alright, so it's not easy to show because once I'm in there, given the hell I'm kind of covering up the space, but basically I put a little bit of penetrating oil in there. I'm using these needle noses and kind of sliding it back in. It's going pretty good because obviously we're already in this shape before. So. Alright, so yeah, my feed one was a little mangled from the previous time I did this because I also did it then without proper hose pliers, which would make this a lot easier because you don't crush the hose as badly. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and turn the key so it primes. I got it plugged in, the harness plugged back in, so just going to make sure nothing leaks before I close it back up. I do hear it priming, nothing leaking, so I'm going to turn the key off, turn it back on, and let it. Alright, so I don't see any leaks, so I'm going to let it run for a little bit, rev it up and whatnot just to make sure, but we should be good. That moisture you see there was the penetrating oil that I put down there, so yeah, I'm going to let it run for a little bit and then just make sure it's good and then close it back up. And this is what it looks like after you start your car up and it hasn't been a few months over winter. A bunch of moisture builds up in the exhaust. I don't have a blown head gasket. But it does look like that. But yeah, it's fine. It's been good, so I'm going to go ahead and close it back up. Alright, there we go. It's all back together. Very easy to do. Basically just like doing an S13, but I got lucky and it looks like it was an aftermarket of some sort already, and they just plugged right in. But other than that, it's really the same thing. I'll put the links or the model number of the pump that I got, but it seems to work fine. Started up, no leaks or anything like that, so we should be good. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments section, but really straightforward, and that probably won't have too many.